Because what occurs with the, potentially, in their belief system, with the solar flares, what occurs is going to awaken people up so quickly. If they have no preparation for it, then unfortunately they may fall by the wayside. But they said that our challenge is to try and find a way through this. And they said there's two things that we must do. Each of the things in isolation is impotent. But together, they said, these two things will find a way through for the majority, if not all. And the first thing they said is that we must look to what we can do, what we can contribute on a physical level to try and bring about the changes that we would ideally like to see. So in other words, we step beyond abdication, we step beyond apathy, and we're way beyond willful ignorance, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But we actually look at how we can contribute in whatever way, shape or form, and there's no panacea, depends on what skills, resources people have. But we look at what we can do to make a physical contribution to be bringing about changes in this realm. But that in itself is not enough. The other thing we must do, and their word is dream. We must dream our future. And after much discussion, we agreed that what we must do is we must visualize. We must visualize the type of future that we would like to see, but without having any existential commitment to it, because it's changing all the time. And their observation, and I, like I said, I mean, this may all be a load of tosh, but what we've got right now is totally unsustainable. Where we're at right now is just not sustainable, period. So something has to give. And what I know from my experience is that the combination of visualizing the type of future that I would like to see actually changes what occurs in the physical plane. And events occur that I just can't explain in Newtonian terms. We'll put it down to synchronicity. But it just starts to get ridiculous. And I mean, the bottom line is everybody's probably experiencing very, very similar issues. There's nothing special here. It's normal. We've just got to embrace the experience and accept that it's normal. So, consider that what is occurring right now, which is a potential catastrophe on one level, but it's also a potential tremendous opportunity on another level, and it's up to us. It's really up to us, how we take this forward. And as I said earlier, these guys, their target is not us. The target is our children and our children's children. So if we are serious about wanting to leave our children, our children's children, the sort of legacy that we would want to visualize for their future, we've got to basically do something about it. And I'm going to finish with a quote that I've been using for a few years in my presentations now. It's a quote from Marcus Aurelius, and he made this quote nearly 2 millennia ago, and I believe that this quote is more pertinent today than it was when he uttered it in the, I think it was the 2nd century. And he said that what we do in life ripples through eternity. Thanks very much.
And a couple of things that I found about your talk is the synchronicity and how these things do stumble across. I mean, I said to Ian, so what's your story? We kind of looked at each other saying, where do you start? Because the synchronicity that happens, it just kind of, it's a snowball effect. And I think that's what I'm aiming to do here, is because singularly, I could never do Ian's research. And my research is from a completely different place, and I'm sure there's hours and hours and hours and hours of research in this room. So the resources that we've got is each other. So please do come, please do support us, please do talk to people about creating your own groups. Please share your knowledge, come to open mic. If you've got something that looks a bit out of your subject and you don't really like the interest of it, come along anyway and just say hello to people and just kind of network, because I think this has been lost. And this is what we're aiming to do. It's completely no profitable organisation. We're aiming to just kind of put it back into the pot and make this snowball and make this grow. So please do take advantage of my synchronicities and Ian's and everybody else's, and take advantage of all the knowledge we've got in here, because I know we've got a lot of knowledge sitting here as well as behind.
And the key word that you said there is that none of us can do this alone. It's an absolute team effort. Every one of us has different skills, different talents. different capabilities, and it's just bringing to bear whatever we can. And even if it's just sharing this with other people, it's all a contribution. And don't be too concerned if people don't latch on to what you're saying straight away. Because the very first talk I gave on 9/11 in January 2003, there were 3 people in the audience. And by their own admission, they'd all come along to ridicule me. Okay? None of them did. Right? Every one of those 3 people is today an activist. Now, it didn't happen overnight, and in fact the last one only really came on board about 18 months ago or so. But every one of them acknowledges that it was coming along to that meeting in 2003 that sowed the seed. So it was a long germination process, but the seed was sown. So, hey, don't worry if people reject it straight off. You've sown that seed.
And along the networking key, we've got a mailing list. Please pop your email down. We're working on the web page and we're working to update some links. So if you've got any links that you feel are useful, email me. And any other networking you think would be helpful, please let me know. We've got another 10 minutes if you want to do questions and answers. If you've got any questions in the audience, sorry,
Okay.
Thank you for that. Fascinating. So I first saw your Codex Alimentarius video many years ago, and with a few friends there, sort of started us on the way of questioning things. Obviously, the 9/11 was a big thing. Bringing up to present day, you're probably aware of Lindsay Williams. Lindsay Williams, as you know, had a connection with sort of globalists. His name was recently given out, that name escapes me at the moment, but he sort of felt that the Iranian situation was sort of quietened down by this sort of ongoing, we're seeing now, conflict in North Korea and South Korea. With the WikiLeaks leak this week, what are your thoughts on that, obviously with your years of experience and obviously looking at the whole picture?
As I said to somebody earlier, is this on?
No.
I said to somebody earlier, WikiLeaks I think should be renamed ZioLeaks. I have never, I've just kept quiet. You've never heard me mention WikiLeaks in any of my research or anything like that. I don't trust it, never have done. It's a classic case. It's like rat poison. Probably a significant chunk of what they put out is good stuff. But that's not the important stuff. Important stuff is the junk that they put out, the misinformation, the disinformation. We do have to be very careful, and we have to recognise. I will give you the names of 2 classic disinformation sources. One is a lady called Rima Labo, who has done an amazing job of raising awareness of Codex Alimentarius. But what she does is she sucks money away from those who could really use it to bring court cases or challenges in the Codex Alimentarius Commission. There are only 2 organisations in the world that have any real influence and the skills and capabilities to slow down the march of Codex Alimentarius. And these guys recognise they can only slow it down because it's actually going to take people to rise up to stop it. One organisation is the National Health Federation, headed up by Scott Tipps, and he actually has a seat with the National Health Federation on the Codex Alimentarius Commission. He can attend all the meetings. He can't vote because effectively he's an NGO, but he can't vote, but he can contribute to the debates. And the other one is the Alliance for Natural Health, which is based in the UK under the direction of Robert Verkerk, who have mounted numerous channels in the European Court of Human Rights and won, then subsequently lose them on appeal. But these guys need money. Rima Labo on her website used to, I don't know if she still does, but it used to say, we need $40,000 a month to maintain our work. Our work? Our work. She was going around the world flying first class and staying in first class hotels, and whining and dining with the people on the Codex Alimentarius Commission, but she had no teeth whatsoever. And anyway, the first clue, of course, should have been her husband, who's a guy called Major General Albert Stubblebine, who spent his entire military career in psyops. And actually, Albert Stubblebine is the guy who is the subject of John Ronson's book, The Men Who Stare at Goats. The opening chapter refers to John Ronson's meeting with Albert Stubblebine when he was actually working in psychological operations. And the other one, more controversial, but I stand by what I've said, and she won't challenge me, is Jane Burgermeister. Jane Burgermeister, in my opinion, is on the payroll, directly or indirectly, of Novartis. I have been challenging her for over a year to produce the evidence that she filed the charges that she has claimed, and she cannot. So she labels me as disinfo, and I'm a Satanist and a paedophile. And by the way, Jim Core and a whole bunch of other people have had the same attacks from her, Because anybody who asks Jane Burgermeister to provide the evidence to support her claims that she filed charges against Baxter and Novartis and everybody else, she goes on the attack because she cannot produce the evidence. And Jane Burgermeister was very, very effective, because what she did, you know, the way these guys work in the corporations is that they're happy for the debate to remain on the internet, because that's just talk, as long as it can be kept out of the courts. And what Jane Burgermeister did was she kept it out of the courts. And the two people in the US who did file legal charges, a lady called Rebecca Campbell and another lady called Elizabeth Book, Jane Burgermeister went on the attack. And yet these people were the ones who did what she was claiming to do. So, let me tell you, controlled opposition has to be better than we are. Because controlled opposition has to convince the unenlightened masses that they are the ones that people should follow.